Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, before I get into the video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video. Consider subscribing to my channel, and if you dislike the content, please leave a dislike and a comment. Now, this is a War Room update. The War Room update is going to be discussing if the war with CNK, TRIMARK, and Reds from OP4S East is still on, and the answer to that is yes. However, there have been a little bit more of a rumor floating around, of which one part of the rumor is confirmed true. The second part of the rumor might be propaganda, might be true as well. The fact that OP4S are now in four wars at once. That means they are engaging four separate alliances all at once. Now, OP4S East, OP4S West, whichever directions they put on their cardinal direction doesn't really matter. But they are right now involved with four different alliance wars. So they have taken on four alliances. Now, considering that they are major PvP corp, this isn't something all that unique, and this is something that they will generally do. But the big catch is there is rumored to be a fifth free forming alliance. Now, when I say free forming, I mean this is just random small corps that have become frustrated with OP4S. And it's supposedly 1,500 members strong. Now, I've been trying to get a hold of anybody with information on it. I've been trying to get a hold of the leaders of that corporation, if possible. Any of the corporations in war with OP4S, please contact me. I'd like to interview you and get the whole setup of what the war is. I want to know who's fighting OP4S, and I'd like to know from OP4S their opinions on their wars, whether they're the aggressors, the neutral party, whether they were aggressed. So basically, I want to know where their stance is, whether they started all these wars intentionally or whether these wars were pushed on them without any warning. Now, further beyond all of this, I want to know where all these wars are going in terms of each of the major alliances on the server. And I also want to know who is jumping into the wars besides the major corps. So if this 15,000 is true, I'm putting this out for you to please contact your leaders and try and get them to get a hold of me. I want to know if this coalition is true and whether it's just a propaganda. If it is a propaganda, by the time you comment in the next day or two, we'll all know that it was a propaganda and that 15,000 didn't exist. But if it does exist, I'd like to hear it because considering the number, I doubt OP4S will stand up to them very well. 15,000 with small PvP corps thrown in, they'll just camp out the station day and night, and OP4S will eventually just become a wrecked ruin in every sector that they exist. They'll only exist in high sec, which is going to be quite humiliating for a PvP focused corp. And we'll find out what's going on if that is true. Because you'll just hear OP4S are now majorly in Kaldari space or Amar space. You're going to find out they're in one of the faction spaces in the 1.0 sectors high sec, and they are going to be hiding out over there to stay away from the wars. That's if things are as bad as been described, and we will find out in the next week or two how things are going and whether things are truly on that path. And you'll find out immediately with small corps like Reds from OP4S being totally camped into the station or the station being destroyed or their players being hunted down all over the sector. You'll find that out in the next few days. So let's continue on with what's coming up in terms of wars and pushes around the server. I want to find this out from the players in each of these corps. Now, there are so many corps that this could be 1,000 players that are 1,000 players who are leaders who I'd have to interview, which would make it a little bit hard. So if you are forming coalitions with such large numbers, whoever is the leader of the coalition, I'd prefer to talk to them over the leaders of each corp because that might take me weeks. I am capable of getting a hold of the leader of TRIMARK, but the only reason why I don't want to go that route and pushing to interview TRIMARK is it's going to be unfair on OP4S and the Reds. I am giving them another 2 days to try and get a hold of me. In the link in in the description of this video is a link to Discord. Now that is my private Discord server. If you go on and you jump in, you can get a hold of me directly. Now I may be a member of CNK, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give you an unfair interview. Right now everything is fair news as I'm picking it up from the server. Now, how did I pick up the news on the 1500? I was flying through a sector and someone asked, do you want to join a coalition against OP4S? 1,500 members currently and growing. Now, I just found that in a local in one of the sectors as I was jumping through. Unfortunately, I have a habit of getting stuck in gates like you can see behind me. So I'm going to have to log out of the game. And the moment I log out, I lose the message. So that happened to me and I wasn't able to get a hold of whoever sent the message. And it ruined the whole process for me and I haven't been able to find out anything further. So 1,500 and growing coalition is what was rumored in a high sec. Now that's because I've been jumping and doing missions to try and complete the advanced tutorial. Now this is what the message is for players in terms of PvP. You can't be totally aggressive as PvP players. Remember, this is a game with over 2 million downloads. That means even if you are running 10 alts and you are running 10 accounts besides your 10 alts, you aren't likely all 2 million downloads. And for most of those alts, it's most probably something like 150,000 players online at a time through the different time zones. So 150,000 players, you can trust me, means that you and your 1,000 friends are not even a percentage in this game when it comes to the overall play. And you need to think about it in this way. If I am going to go about as a PvP player, can I set up on a low sec route and attack players who are moving through? The answer to that is yes, you can. But there is also a warning on it. Can we set up a camp on every single null sec gate that is needed for you to go through for encounters? Now that is a very bad idea. Remember, it's not just one corp that's going to be doing encounters and running that certain channel. It's going to be something like 50 or 60 corps. And a corp can comprise of 100 members easy. And they can be part of alliances of up to 1,000 members each. And you could be aggravating just 50 individual corps part of alliances of 1,000 each. That means 50,000 players are being aggressed just by a one action blocking a small part of 10 gates. And the fact that you're going to keep doing it and keep camping those gates in those certain areas of nullsec is going to make it very bad. But let's say, for example, you only setting up your gate camp on one gate and you keep aggressing on just that one gate, you're likely going to get into a war with maybe 2 or 3 of those corps. But when you set up non-stop gate camps for 10 gates non-stop, you're going to look at a major war. And I have seen it before. I have seen 10 gate camps in a row set up across a nullsec in a route which leads between missions between different factions. And these players know exactly what they're doing. They did it intentionally in the hopes of finding players who are trying to complete the encounters to get missions. And they are killing a lot of players as well, and they're getting quite a good amount of loot. Now, the catch to this whole situation is players are going to track you down. And when players track you down and they find out which corp you belong to, where about your main base is located, you are going to have a problem where one morning y'all are going to wake up and y'all are going to be camped in. Now, this is for the purely PvP corps who are functioning in this way using gate camps. You see, this is something which players weren't expecting in the game, and the fact that you are being so aggressive about it, you're actually causing wars. I think this is what OP4S might have done to these 15,000 players who are in a corp against them. And it might even grow to a larger number. Who knows, maybe even more alliances are going to jump in and all of them are going to gang up on OP4S. OP4S needs to really start up a diplomatic channel which is a little bit more friendly and has a little bit more control over the OP4S alliances, because the OP4S alliances are really pushing and making war their mantra. And remember, war is good for business, but too much of war means that you will always be overexpanded. And eventually it will come to a point where Your players are only fighting in a war. They can't get a hold of dead space. They can't get a hold of inquisitors. If they are found in a sector with the dead space or inquisitor, 20 players are on their way to attack them. And that's how it's going to be if you keep pushing on the players the way that you are pushing. Remember, this isn't Eve Online. This is Eve Echoes. Eve Echoes is a mobile platform. Eve Online was a PC platform. PC platform means players are online in large numbers doing certain activities, and they're unlikely to deviate from their original plan to camp you or attack you. But this is a mobile game, and a mobile game has the advantage of being taken wherever you want. And a lot of players are casual, and casual players have a habit of raging in the game. And when you rage and you're the leader of a massive corporation, you could cause your entire corporation to jump into a war for you. So, considering all of that, you need to look at the bigger picture. Just a little bit of a smarter idea. Try to hold your PvP corps to give a few days rest in that combat with random neutrals, because you can end up attacking something like, as I was saying, 50 random neutrals from 50 different corps and end up making a war with 15 out of those 50. And those corps can be alliances of up to 1,000 each, making you in this war with 15,000 additional players, something you aren't looking forward to and something you weren't even expecting. And by the end of all of this, you might have another list of blues which goes on for hundreds and hundreds of corporations and alliances. And this is purely because of the aggressive nature that you all are playing the game in. Remember, this isn't Eve Online. And I keep expressing it a lot because a lot of players keep saying, we played Eve Online for years. It doesn't help that players are making alliances. The strongest alliance will always win. It's not going to be the same in this game. You may have a very strong alliance, but considering the number of randoms, you could end up with a corp of 150,000, not a corp, a coalition of 150,000 players all being angry at one corp. And it is a strong possibility, even though OP4S are a favorite on this server, you might end up seeing them in the next day with no players left or no way to combat any of these actions. Now, that's going to be it for this war room. I am leaving an open invite to OP4S leadership, to Red's leadership, to any of the alliances engaged in the wars with OP4S. This is an open invite to all of you. I'd like to get an interview with you and add you into the war rooms. And I'm also going to be looking for any of those other coalitions who have formed. I want to know whether it was just a rumor or whether it was just advertising stunt to try and get random players in. So this is basically my open invite to everybody to come in and give us a little bit of information on what's going on. As I said, in the link below will be a link to my Discord. So that's going to be it for this video. There's not much to report on the war between TRIMARK and CNK, but I'm going to give you the whole report that I have. TRIMARK, CNK, and Reds from OP4S East have still continued in their war. The Reds have been pushing a little bit against CNK. They've attempted to box them into the station again a number of times. However, TRIMARK have continuously cleaned the region and keep pushing OP4S back to their sector. OP4S members have started to die down in numbers. They are only camping in numbers of up to 10 or 20. It looks like the war has taken its toll on the Reds members, and soon the Reds look like they may need to fall back and retreat. The only place where they are holding a good front is in their home sector. That's 6 BPS. And the reason why I'm willing to reveal that location at this moment is 6 BPS is right there, right next to FAT 6P. And a lot of players already know that that's the name of its primary digits when it comes to listing the sector. Now, 6 BPS is the home of the Reds, and you will find that there is on average alliance backing them up with up to 300 to 400 players. But recently, in the past few days, those numbers have started to decline. And TRIMARK's pushes and CNK's pushes are only staying constant at the rate that they've been going at. Now, I'm not giving figures on how many members are going in because they are breaking apart to clean up the entire region. So I don't want to give away any of those numbers. And it has been noted that the Reds have been a little bit less aggressive in some of the sectors leading down out of the main area of catch. So it looks like they are learning a little bit of a lesson from this whole war, that they can't just aggress everybody. I think it's the number of extra corps that have jumped in on the side of CNK and TRIMARK. Now I'm hoping that this war effort in the game continues on, because wars are part of the game and they will always be a part of how players play. Now, what I am hoping for is to have all of the news on these wars, because there are so many wars going on. Who knows? It might be something fun for me to look at and get some information on. Now, I'm going to be ending the video here. Thank you all for watching.